All right. Happy Friday. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome to the Wholesale to Freedom channel. For those who don't know, this channel is all about wholesaling real estate in general, business, entrepreneurship, and life, everything in between. So if you're here, ask any questions that you have. If you're not, you should be. And also, if you're watching this after the live, that's okay. Ask all the questions you have in the comments section, and I'll be sure to answer them. And I might even do a video on them. So bring all your questions. I'm going to start announcing this on Instagram. And we are live. Whoops. And we are live right now. Go check it out. Wholesale to Freedom on YouTube. We are live right now. Go check it out. Wholesale to Freedom on YouTube. We are live right now. Go check it out. If you're here, let me know you're here. Also, any questions you got, take advantage of it. Everything's on the table. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Brandon, Brian, what's going on? How y'all doing? Y'all having a good and productive week? I know I am. I'm in the process of locking up a piece of vacant land, and get this, for $700. Yes, $700. So I'm actually waiting on a call back from the seller. Called him this morning, and I'm gonna try him again after this live. But yeah, so we got $700 piece of land that I hope to wholesale for about $14,000. So we'll see what happens. Should be, I mean, you had a property, any property for $700, you should be able to make a profit on it. Otherwise, you shouldn't be in wholesaling. So, what's the best way to find the average price of a distressed properties in my area? So, and I'm looking to do, and I'm doing good. I am productive this week. Awesome. Glad to hear it, Brandon. So, my suggestion to you is, and this is a good habit to get into anyways for us wholesalers, is to cold call all the realtors in the area that you're wholesaling and just ask them, hey, I got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in this neighborhood. What is the average sale price of this property? These types of properties. And what you're doing is you're building a relationship. Whether or not you actually have a property doesn't matter. But what you're looking for is to build that relationship, and then also ask them, hey, by the way, if you have any properties that are too far gone, maybe you can't list it, I would love to make a cash offer on it. And then also, if I have any properties that are too good a condition for myself and it doesn't meet my investing criteria, I can go ahead and send you any leads we have, and in exchange you can send me your dead leads, and then you have that relationship going, and then they could even pay you for their dead leads. When I can realtors, are they okay actually sharing information? When I call realtors, are they okay with actually sharing information? What do you mean by that? What kind of information? What I would say is, if you're worried about wasting their time, what I would do is just let them know, hey, listen, they will get you comps. Yep, they will get you comps. You don't want to keep calling the same person over and over and asking them for stuff and then never actually provide any value. That's why I say to build the relationship up and let them know, hey, we're coming across a lot of properties that are deeply discounted. So if you have any cash buyers that you work with that are interested in off-market properties, let me know. Also, we come across a lot of properties that are in too good of condition that maybe doesn't fit our investing criteria, and now I can send you those leads in exchange for any dead leads that you have that maybe are too far gone, or the seller wants a quick sale, a hassle-free sale, and we would love to make an offer on that. And then what you're doing is you're giving them more tools in their tool belt, and you're also building your relationships, building those connections that are going to help sell the deal, also to help you bring in more leads for free. And I pay my agents, for bringing me leads, just like my agents pay me for any leads that I bring them. I just got paid $1,000 just last month, actually, and I bought a new VR headset. So, that's my play money. Every time I get a referral fee from a realtor, I make that my play money. But so what are comps again? Like when you said to call them and ask about how much properties are in the area. Yeah, they're okay. That's what they're for. So realtors, a lot of times, that's what they're there for. They provide this information. They have access to the MLS and they pay for this stuff. So why it's a benefit to the realtors is because they're trying to build connections and relationships too. And if you're coming across a lot of people who are just saying, "Hey, don't waste my time," that's okay. Just hang up and dial to the next one. Until you called all the realtors, every single one in your area, which would be next to impossible, because by the time you get to the end, you would find like 4 or 5 people who will actually work with you, so you wouldn't need to do that. What are comps again? Comps are comparable properties in the area. Brett said comparative price homes to the model you were looking at. Exactly. Square footage, rooms, and bathrooms. Exactly, Brett. So he's exactly right on that. Are comps what you use to find the price you will wholesale, or do you use the comps? Yeah, so I actually have some videos, Brandon, on my YouTube that tell you how to find comps and what they're used for. So you're trying to find what properties are worth fixed up, so that way you can tell your end buyer, hey, I got this property for X. You're going to put X amount of repairs into it, and then afterwards it'll be worth X. And you want to get something that's 70% to its max value, or lower minus repairs. That way you can give it to your end buyer and they can still make money. So the formula for wholesaling goes like this: ARV, which is after repair value, which is where you use the comps, times 70%, because an investor is going to pay 70% max on the property usually, minus your repairs. So let's say it's a $100,000 property. You're at 70%, so $70,000. It needs $10,000 worth of work. You're going to subtract $10,000 from that 70. You're at $60,000. Now you got to make your fee. So whatever you want to make on this, let's say $10,000, you subtract 10 from 60, and now you're at 50. So your max allowable offer is going to be 50,000 or lower. So you have to be at 50 or lower to make 10 grand on that property. If I were to call and tell a realtor that I was wholesaling or I'm wholesaling, what would that be okay? No, I would never tell them that. And here's why: because wholesaling has got such a bad name recently because of everybody getting into the business not knowing how to do it. And it's not that I'm making people just out to be bad for not knowing how to do things. It's just because of that, a lot of people are actually turning away, and states are even starting to regulate wholesaling. I would never mention you're a wholesaler. Just say I work with a group of investors who are interested in the area, and we're looking to get some more insight on this neighborhood or whatever it may be. So never position yourself as a wholesaler. Can you guys see me and hear me all right? It's saying that my stream quality is going down, but it looks good on my end. What are some websites you use to find deals besides Zillow and those common ones? So some great websites that to use are obviously Zillow, Craigslist, Redfin, ForSaleByOwner.com. If you're looking for like some stuff that you can dive deep into, the county data is the best place to go. Try to look up your local code enforcement violations, overgrown grass, things like that. So if you have a county that has that data, publicly, then you can go to the county website, pull that list, and then you can skip trace it through TruePeopleSearch.com or AdvancedBackgroundSearch.com, and you can get the phone numbers, and then you just straight up cold call them. So I hope that answers your question. But I mean, if you were to able to pull that list, the tax liens, the code enforcement, all that, you should not run out of any data. Like that should be enough data for you to pull a couple leads out of. And it updates, I think, weekly, if not, daily in your county. If for whatever reason you cannot find that information, what you want to go ahead and do, Brian, is you want to go ahead and call the people that are in charge there and say, hey, listen, I'm trying to get access to a list of these properties. I work for an investment group that, we're trying to clean some of the city up. Some of these, code violations are a nuisance, and we'd like to try to, see if we can't get a hold of the owners and buy their property, things like that. So just call them up and say, how can I access that information, that data? And this is stuff that normal wholesalers that are getting into the business have no idea, and they don't want to put in the effort to do. So if you can do this, you're going to be one step ahead of the competition, because not only is the county data the most up to date, but it's gonna give you that advantage, because it's gonna be you're gonna be the first one to contact these people. Yeah, Brandon, I did. I asked the guys in here if they could still hear me, and they said yes. So I'm not sure what's going on. Um, I did answer your question, Brandon. I said to cold call the realtors and just let them know that you work for a group of investors. I would never position yourself as a wholesaler. Just position yourself as a group of investors, because if you say you're a wholesaler, what's going to happen is they're not going to take you seriously. Brian said, I live in Texas. Do you think it's a good for wholesaling since houses aren't that expensive? Absolutely. Depending on where you're at in Texas, that's actually one of the markets I look to get into virtually, if I were to go into my next market. So I think Texas is a phenomenal market. There's a lot of big players there, and I think it's a great place. I've seen a house sell for like $17,000 on Zillow, and it was by my area. Yeah, I mean, in your own backyard is the first place I recommend wholesaling, because you have knowledge on the area already. You don't have to start from scratch. And even if you have to go like a half hour, an hour away, then you still have a little bit of a concept of what that area is like. Is Arizona good? Arizona is super competitive. I'm guessing you're talking about Phoenix. If you are, I mean, it's definitely, people are doing wholesaling. A lot of the big players are there, so there's deals to be had. But the more competition you have, obviously, the harder it's going to be to get a deal, and the more effort and the more money you're going to have to put in. Because remember, when you're marketing, you're either going to spend time or you're going to spend money, and so those requirements to get a lead in those markets are going to be higher. Again, I'm not saying it's impossible or it's a bad market, but those are the things you want to consider. Did that answer y'all's question? I'm in Glendale at the moment. I think Glendale is a good market. But yeah, like if you start in your own backyard, that's the first place I recommend. Why don't wholesalers take realtors or realtors take wholesalers seriously? Yeah, so you must have got cut out whenever I was answering it. But what I was saying is there's a lot of new wholesalers in the industry right now, and because of that, a lot of people are doing the wrong things. They're leaving sellers high and dry, and so it comes down to a lack of knowledge. I appreciate a lot of people getting into the business, taking action, but when you have somebody's life at stake, not life, but somebody's like livelihood, these homeowners are in distressed situations, like going into foreclosure and stuff, and then we have wholesalers that are brand new coming in and saying, hey, I promised to buy your house, and then they can't find a buyer, and they leave that seller hanging at closing, or just don't even communicate with them because they don't know what to do and they don't think it's a big deal. Mainly because wholesaling has gone so mainstream and it comes across as easy, and nothing is easy, guys, that's worth it and that makes good money. It's simple, but it's not easy. So for that reason, I would never, even when I talk to my cash buyers, I let them know, hey, listen, my partner and I, we fix and flip in the area, but we do come across some deals where we wholesale. So should you find a buyer first? You should do both. You can post ghost ads, and I actually have a couple of videos on this, Brandon, that I would suggest checking out, because there's a lot of great strategies and tips that I mentioned in there. But what I would do is, at the very minimum, post a ghost ad, which is a fake ad on Craigslist for let's just take a random picture of a house in your area, Doesn't even have to be in your area. You can just Google a broken house on Google, and then put it up there and put it for like a ridiculous price, like that's 17,000, and then say this is a cash deal, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot house, looking for a cash buyer. And what's going to happen is you're going to have a ton of people calling you. You're going to have some not serious buyers, and you're going to have some serious buyers call you, and you're going to want to filter them out. And I have a video on how to filter buyers as well. And you want to add those people to your buyers list by saying, hey, listen, that property went under contract very quick, but hey, do you have a good email address or a phone number where I can contact you back and let you know of any future properties we get? Boom, you got them on your buyers list. Don't tell them it's a fake ad, though. I live in El Paso, Texas. I don't know if you know the city, but I might go for and start looking for some good deals that pop up. Do you think it's a good idea? I've seen bandit signs about agents that sell houses. Yeah, in your own any market you can make a wholesale deal. Now, when you get to too small of a market, it gets just like when you're getting too big of a market, it gets a little bit harder, because if you have somebody who's actively doing it, obviously they're going to have a bigger presence in that area. But that's where the beginners, that's where you really have an advantage, because you can, again, you're either spending time or energy or money for marketing, and that's where the beginners can really spend a lot of their time and energy going out there and hustling to get those deals and get in front of them first. Where the bigger guys are going to be just, paying money, getting the list when they can. They're not as active and following up. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. Go driving for dollars. Look for distressed properties. Look up the address on the tax records. And then once you have the owner's information or the property address, go to truepeoplesearch.com. Try to skip trace them for free. Get the phone number and ask them if they want to sell. So the video will go over how to tell the serious buyers from the non-serious buyers. Correct. Absolutely. I tell you exactly how to do it. And I think I even might have a recording on there of how I do that in one of my videos. I'm putting out that valuable content, guys. Because these are all great questions, by the way. I want to let you all know these are great questions. Now, once I answer these questions, it's up to you to take action and go out there and implement. Right? Because you don't want to take this information, forget about it, and then you're going to be like, oh, crap. Well, how do I do that again? So as soon as you watch the videos, take action. Don't get into analysis paralysis. If you haven't already, don't forget to smash that thumbs up. It does help the channel, so that way we can grow, help more people. I'm an open book, y'all, so I'm here for you. I'm just worried that I will do something wrong. Here's all you got to know, Brandon, to make sure you're not doing anything wrong like a lot of these people are, is you don't promise anything. Nothing in life is guaranteed. And you don't, so remember, in everything you do in sales and in life, under promise, over deliver, right? Be transparent with the seller as much as possible. If you don't want to tell them you're a wholesaler, which I strongly recommend against, is don't tell them. What I suggest is you don't tell them you're a wholesaler, but I suggest you let them know, like, hey, sometimes if they ask about it, like, why are these people coming to buy my property to look at it? Just let them know, hey, listen, sometimes the deal just doesn't work out for us, or maybe we want to bring a partner into it. So we're just going to have them check out the property and see if we can't make this work at the price we agreed at. And what you're doing is you're making it look like you're acting on their best interest to try to get that deal done, and you're being transparent. And if they ask, hey, is this a done deal? Just let them know. I'm just doing we're just doing our due diligence, and we just want to make sure that we got a good deal. And so, that's what we're doing right now. With us being a company that buys a lot of houses, we have to do this. And so they'll understand, you just got to be good. You're not going to have all the answers right away, but you got to be good at overcoming objections. And the way you do that is just by doing it. And the ones that you can't figure out or you don't have an answer to, just say, hey, that's a great question for my purchase manager, and I'll ask them and see if I can't get an answer. And then you can just look up the answer, or you hit me up on YouTube and ask me the question, and I'll help you out. Do you spend money getting good tools for looking for deals or cold calling? Do you spend money getting good tools for when looking for deals or cold calling? Well, I spend around $2,000 to $3,000 a month on my business. Probably $1,000 of that is systems. So tools, PropStream, CallRail, Call Tools, Podio, Investor Fuse, Investor Carrot. Those are all tools that I use. But what I would suggest for you is to focus on one. I really like one avenue of marketing when you're starting out, but if you want to do two, no more than two. Focus on 1 to 2 avenues of marketing. So whether it's driving for dollars, or you're pulling county data and cold calling, or direct mail. So only pick 1 to 2 of those and stick with it. Don't do any other kind of marketing, Facebook ads. Just pick 2 or just 1 and get really good at it. And don't do anything else until you get really good at it. So that way you can get money from the leads that you're already marketing for in that marketing avenue, and then reinvest the profits into another marketing avenue once you do a couple deals and you have a stable, predictable income. You said to say you are working with a group of investors. Yeah. So a lot of people teach different things. What's worked best for me is not being the decision maker. So if you've ever negotiated with somebody, or somebody who's really good at negotiating, they always have a decision maker behind them. And that's how you know you're dealing with somebody who knows what they're doing. Because if somebody says they are the decision maker, what happens is it creates a lot of tension, a lot of friction. And so if you say, hey, listen, it's my partner, or it's my boss that's telling me to ask these questions. So if you get upset, I'm sorry, it's not my intention. You have an easy out because you're just an employee, or you're just the partner. You're just doing what you're supposed to do. And people sympathize with that. Brian, did that answer your question? And Brandon, did that answer your question as well? Again, these are all really great questions. You guys are getting your money's worth right now. And I just want to say I appreciate each one of you right now watching the stream and hopping on here asking questions, because you only get what you put in, and I'm here to help you guys out. So take advantage of it. And everything I've talked about today, I do have videos on it. So after this, if you want to rewatch this, you can, or if you want to go straight to those videos, man, I got a topic on everything. And if I don't, let me know, and I'll create a video on it. But should I say never that I am a wholesaler, but to say I'm working with a group of investors? Correct. I never, even with my cash buyers, I don't even mention I'm a wholesaler. Wholesaler is not even in my vocabulary. You can tell your friends and your colleagues and stuff that are wholesalers that you're a wholesaler, but whenever you're talking cash buyers, just right now, wholesaler is not a good term. And it's just it's like those people who, and if you're one of them, I'm not making fun of you, but it's like those people who say, I almost joined the military, right? They got in the process and then they backed out, or they got the basic training and then they failed. And they said, I was almost in the military. Nobody, a wholesaler is one of those, I was almost in the investing in real estate. That's how people view it right now. That's not my opinion. That's just how people, the best way I can describe it, are looking at wholesalers right now. So you don't want to be not taken seriously, because everybody knows that getting into wholesaling doesn't require a lot of effort or money or time. What does matter, is getting the deals and stuff. So they won't take you serious until you start producing. So after you produce several leads and you're known as producing a lot of great leads, then people can refer to you as a good wholesaler. How do you proceed since you do virtual wholesaling? Do you send the contract through email? Yep. So I have DocuSign, and I just take my contract and I send it to them, and they just sign it and they send it back, and then I forward that to the title company. Everything's done digital, except for when you need a notary. For whatever reason the title company requires it, then you can just go ahead and get a mobile notary. You can Google them in the area that you're wholesaling, and they can meet the seller, go out there, sign it, send it back to the title company, and then you can have one at your own place. It's really simple. All these questions, at first I remember thinking about stuff like this, how do I do this? How do I do that? So overwhelming. But the biggest piece of advice I can give you is just get through the step that you're on right now, and then worry about the next step when you get there. Because if you start to look at the next step and then the next step and then the next step, you're going to get overwhelmed very quickly. And it's going to deter you from taking action, because you're going to be like, well, crap, I almost got a contract, but what happens if I actually get a contract? What do I do then? And then you're like doubting yourself. So don't do that. Just like freaking hammer in on the step you're on. So if you're right now generating leads, just hammer in on generating leads. Like, that's your only focus. Once you get a lead and under contract, then boom, start researching how to do a contract, or how to send it to the title company, or what the next step is. Do you have a video for Notary? So notaries are very simple. Their whole purpose is to notarize documents. So they're just basically a witness that recognizes that the signature is valid. So that way the title company knows that it's the actual seller that's signing. I've only had to get a notary once, but you just simply Google a mobile notary, ask them if they can meet the seller, send them the documents you need signed. They're going to have the seller sign it, and then they're going to send it to you, and you send it to the title company. Do they know you're a wholesaler since you're not buying the property, or do you just put it under contract, or how does that work? Yeah, so we're in the business of buying houses, right? So we let them know, hey, we're interested to buy your property for cash. And then once you get the original purchase and sale agreement under, then you can start marketing that contract for end buyers. You never market a property unless you're a realtor. And even then, you got to make sure you have a listing agreement. So that's where a lot of wholesalers are getting into this business, is they cause a lot of trouble, because they can get legal trouble, because you're brokering real estate at that point, and that's illegal. So what we're doing is we're selling the contract, because that gives us equitable interest, and that gives us control in the deal. That contract is everything. So once you have the contract with the seller, then you can start marketing for a buyer. If they happen to see your advertisement or they ask you about it, just let them know. Listen, from time to time, we pull in a partner just for because we want to mitigate risk. So we bring a partner in to manage that risk and reduce it, because the market's very crazy right now with coronavirus and everything. So we're just having some partners look at this for us and see if we can't make a deal work for both of us. But we always look to purchase it ourselves first. And I've never had an issue, with a seller once I told them that, and they're like concerned because they've seen an advertisement or something. That's exactly how I feel. Like, what happens if this, and also that, what happens if I get a contract? Yeah, so it's okay to feel like that. Everybody does. Society teaches us we have to have all the answers first before we can continue, but real life doesn't work that way. Entrepreneurship doesn't work that way. The successful businesses like Amazon, you think they got everything right? No, they probably made the most money off their failures, because that's where you get your first class education. And that's why I think entrepreneurship, going in business and stuff, is more important than college, because college doesn't prepare you for shit, in my opinion. But I also have like 80 credits in college, and I stopped because I was Googling my answers on for my tests, and it wasn't providing any value to me anyway. So I was like, all right, I'm done with this. Best decision I made. Do you have a video on how to find a partner, like a JV partner? I wouldn't recommend going into a partnership unless the partner has a lot more knowledge than you do, but you have something to provide value on the opposite end. So if you're a real hustler, a go-getter, and you don't mind spending your time and energy going out to these deals or looking for leads, things like that, but you have a partner who knows how the wholesaling game works, and he doesn't want to put that time and energy in, then you can partner, and you have a valuable connection there, because you're doing one half and they're doing the other half. You don't want to have a partner that's just there for moral support. It never works out. And partnerships are another tricky situation in their own. That's why I'm solo. But even though I'm solo, I still tell people I have a partner, because I'm not the decision maker. Even if you have a dust bunny in your corner, that's your partner. So what do you guys think about this information so far? But wholesaling is generally by yourself. You can do it with a partner. You can do it with a group of people. The world is yours whenever it comes to that, on how you want to do that. I recommend just not having a partner starting out unless they are way more advanced than you are. But typically, if they are, let's just say you might be partnering with a realtor because they can give you another advantage to the industry. If, let's say, you have a wholesale deal that's really good, you want a wholesale, which is buying it and relisting it for a bigger profit, you can have a realtor partner who not only has access to the MLS, but they can relist it for you. I appreciate that, Brandon. I really do. So there's advantages and disadvantages to having partners. Obviously, you have to split the profits, but if you don't care about that, then I mean, more power to you. Try to find somebody like a realtor who's willing to get into wholesaling, and they already know how the closing process works because of, they're in the real estate industry. But trying to find those people are very, very difficult. It's like finding motivated sellers. It's like a relationship. If you're trying to find a partner, you know, it takes a little bit to get to know them, and it takes a little bit to trust them and build that connection. I remember when I first started, I tried to think of everybody under the sun who would be a good partner for me, and I tried to convince them to get into wholesaling. But here's the thing. You're on this path now where you're set by yourself. It's a very lonely path in the regards that not a lot of people are going to see the vision that you do, and it's going to deter you if you keep trying to convince other people who are not ready or who don't want to be on this path, because you're going to start questioning yourself. Just know where you want to go, know where you want to be, how you're going to do it, and just stick to it. Don't listen to anybody else's opinion. I'm living proof that you can do this, as well as many, many other people out there. It's not a fantasy. It's real. And Brandon, I actually got a video on how I got started, and it might provide some insight to you. But I got started by going to a Real Estate Investors Association, which is a RIA, is what they call it. And usually they're free for the first time you go there, but there's a lot of different people there, like investors, buy and hold, fix and flippers. There's a ton of people there, and that's how I met the guy who was wholesaling in my industry, or in my backyard here, and he offered me a position wholesaling for him as his wholesaling manager for selling properties. I had no idea what I was doing. The guy was like, "Hey, I got 6 wholesales I need sold right now. Can you do it?" And without thinking, I said, "Yeah, I can do it." I was just being arrogant. I wouldn't say arrogant, but I was trying to be fake it till you make it. And after I got on, I was on a call and told me about the RIA. Yeah, so, but yeah, I faked it till I made it. And sure enough, the guy, he kind of walked me through how to do stuff, and I failed forward. I wasted a lot of his money because he let me fail on his dime, and I also got paid. I got paid $60,000 my first year, and that was the most I'd ever made working for somebody. And then I ended up making around $300,000 in revenue my first 6 months of being in business for myself. But that's not the typical results for everybody. And I haven't hit that yet again, but that's because COVID hit the next year after. But wholesaling is generally by yourself. Pretty useful. I learned more. Do you have a TikTok? I do. Yep, it's going to be the same as my Instagram. So the _Harshman. You can talk about wholesaling to RIAs. Yeah, so there's a bunch of wholesalers at the RIAs. That's where a lot of people pitch their deals. And that's where I sold a lot of my deals even in my virtual market. I don't have to attend that RIA. They have a website where you can post your deals just for being a member, and it's like $20 a month or something. So you can position yourself the same way at the RIA. I see what you're saying now. You can say, "Hey, listen, I'm getting in the real estate." At the RIA, you can be honest with people, because this is where this is different from everything else. The RIA is there for people who are getting started, and for experienced investors alike, to network and build connections. And that's why it's so powerful, because I was an introvert. Not a lot of people getting into this are going to actually go talk to people. So if you go to the RIA and then you network with a bunch of people, you're going to build so many contacts. You're going to get so much information, and just like people who want to help you out. But don't go once. Go consistently every month because they pay attention. Trust me. He was not upset that I lost the money because he didn't have a choice, right? He was in a need. I was providing value to him, my time and energy, and he was providing value to me, the knowledge. What's the fastest way to get a deal, SMS or cold call? When you're starting out or you're already established? Either way, I prefer cold calling over all the others because even if you scale up, you're going to want to have your VAs or whoever you have working for you really good on the phone because that's what takes the most amount of time. So that's the first thing that I hire out is the cold calling. This cold calling is immediate, right? You're like boom, boom, boom. You're calling people. SMS, yeah, it's still immediate, and I've had great results from SMS, but they're starting to slowly litigate that, and the delivery rates are starting to go down, but cold calling is going to be around forever, just like direct mail. Do you wholesale land too? Yep. So Brian, I was if you weren't here at the beginning, I was mentioning that I'm in the process of locking up a piece of land for $700. It's going to be I'm going to try to wholesale it for $15,000. I'm waiting on the seller to call me back, and after this, I'm going to call them. But for $700, the person after Hurricane Katrina knocked it down, they didn't take care of it, so now it's just a piece of land that they owe taxes on. And he said he wants to sell it for $800. I offered him $700, and he took it. So I'm just waiting on the contract. How do you find hot markets? Great question, Denise. So actually, I have a video on this, and I would strongly recommend checking it out. But just to give you a brief overview, you can go and use PropStream's heat map. It's like a weather map almost, but you can tell how property sales have changed in the last 6 months by looking at the last 6 months property value changed. And so that you look at that, and it looks like a weather map. You have the red sections, which are the really high price growth in the last 6 months, and you have the orange and the green sections, which aren't as good. So you can use PropStream to do that, and I actually have a link in the description that you can check out in a lot of my videos. Or you can use Zillow, and Zillow has like a neighborhood estimated market, growth thing that they have. It's not as good as PropStream, but if you're going the free route, that's the best, next best thing. So, and also you want to look for a market that's not overpopulated, but also a market that's not underpopulated. So I like to ideally be 70,000 or more, but no more than 1 million. When you wholesale, do you look at the tax delinquent list or for sale by owner? Both. I look at all of it. So instead of asking a realtor about how much the price of a distressed properties are, I can use PropStream to check. Yeah, so you can use Zillow to check. So my video on how to find comps tell you all of that, how to find that. I wouldn't ask realtors what distressed properties are selling for. I would only ask them what properties are selling for fixed up and kind of like in the as-is condition. Because if you say, what's the price of a distressed property, they're going to be like, I have no idea, because they don't list distressed properties. If that makes sense. I'm blown away by the questions y'all are asking. Like normally I get like silly questions when I'm talking to somebody about this stuff, but you all are asking some really, really great questions. But yeah, I think I'm going to wrap this thing up here in about 5 minutes. So any last minute questions you have, go ahead and get them out. But I'm hoping I'm providing some value to y'all. And if I am, be sure to like this video. Give it a thumbs up if you can. Subscribe if you haven't already. And it really does help the channel out. And I love when I get subscriber notifications and likes on the channel. It makes my day, believe it or not. I started out with 25 subscribers last April, and wasn't really consistent with it at first, but now I've gotten more consistent, and it's been amazing, the journey so far. What's the best pre-qualify or disqualify a motivated seller? And what do they truly sound like? I'm tired of tire kickers. You're going to have a lot of those. Remember, out of 100 people, you're going to have 3 that want to sell, and ideally you're going to have 1 that needs to sell. So the difference between a motivated seller and somebody who wants to sell is somebody who needs to sell. You're going to get a lot of people who want to sell, and they're going to want retail, and you're going to get discouraged. You're going to be like, man, everybody wants retail. Don't worry about them. You're going to keep calling. That's good because you're getting those people out of the way. But the best way to pre-qualify is just like this. Hi, my name's Alex. I work for a group of investors, and I was calling to see if you had a property that you would be interested in selling for cash. Boom, right there in the first 10 seconds, you're going to know, hey, whether or not they have a property they're interested in selling. When dealing with tax delinquents, your price depends on what they owe, right? Not really. So the price is always the same. It depends on what the market's like and what the comparative properties are selling for fixed up. So whatever the ARV is, it doesn't matter how much they owe. And the only time it matters is if they owe more than what your offer would be. And then that you would only have like other strategies to use to make that work, like subject to and stuff. But I don't, I recommend sticking to one avenue of real estate, like wholesaling, and sticking to it. Don't try to do all these other avenues at first. Because remember, even if they owe taxes or any kind of liens, that comes out of their proceeds at the end, unless you negotiate it to where you're paying for that. When dealing with, best way. Okay, how do you find and project your deals to the buyers? So from there, I would suggest, earlier I mentioned this, but you could post a ghost ad on Craigslist. It's what it is a fake ad of a property for a ridiculously low price, and just say, hey, investor special property, single family, pennies on the dollar. And then you have it for like $15,000 or something, and it's a semi-decent looking house. Looking for cash buyers, selling for cash, selling this contract for cash, assigning for cash. Make sure you put that you're not selling a property, but you're selling your interest, or you're selling the contract in the property. And then what you're going to do is anytime you get a phone call from the buyer, Denise, you're going to let them know, hey, listen, that property sold very quickly. It got under contract very quickly. But if anything changes, can I let you know? And if you want, I can send you future deals like this as well. And so you're going to ask for their email and their phone number, and you're going to write that down and put them in your buyer's list. Don't tell them it's a fake deal, though, because then they'll get pissed. But that's one way to find them. You can also cold call realtors, and I have a how to find cash buyers easy video on my channel you can check out. It's like 7 minutes or something, and I go word for word exactly how you do it, and I even show you through a video or a recording I have on how to do that. What's the best way to follow up with sellers whose properties are clearly in physical distress but their guard is up? So what we're looking for here, Roland, is we don't want to make every deal a deal, right? We don't want to force people to be motivated. No problem, Denise. Thank you. We're not trying to convert every lead. What we're trying to do is find the most motivated people, and it's a numbers game. So when you try to convert every lead, you're going to get burnt out pretty quick. But the best way to follow up with sellers whose properties are clearly in distress is just to simply do that, is follow up. If you call them up and they say, no, I'm not interested right now, and they're asking you all these silly questions, just say, hey, I understand you're not interested. When you are interested, please let us know. Is there a good time to follow up with you that you might be interested in selling? If they say, no, I'm just not interested right now, just say, okay, and then follow up with them 6 months. If they do give you a time frame, what you want to do is cut that in half. So let's say they say, call me in 1 month. Call them in 2 weeks. If they say, call me in 3 months, call them 1.5 months or 1 month. Because you'll be amazed at how many times their situation changes. I have to go now, Alex. Thank you for the information. I appreciate it. Hey, no problem, Brandon. Thank you for stopping by. If you can, share this with people. Spread the word. I'm trying to grow the channel so I can help more people out so that we don't get more regulations on wholesaling, because we don't want a lot of people, messing up the industry for us. Very good questions, y'all. So I don't see any more questions, so I'm going to go ahead and end it here. But I want to say I do appreciate y'all's time. Again, please smash that thumbs up if you're watching this. Even if you're watching this after the live, be sure to ask any questions you got, and I'll personally respond to every question and every comment. So really appreciate y'all's attention on this and your time today. It's very valuable, and I understand that. And so I appreciate you spending it with me. And I hope that you all have a blessed and safe weekend, as well as a productive weekend. and let's wholesale to freedom, guys. So take care, do your hair, and have a good one.